Okay, welcome everybody. So welcome to today's guest speaking session, and we're just waiting for Sarah's just going to join us in just a second. So that'll just give time as well for everybody to get logged on, and yeah, to get comfy and grab yourselves a drink. And she's coming in now. Okay, so hopefully technology is going to be our friend today and everything is going to run seamlessly. Hello!
Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I am good, thank you.
Good.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited.
We are also very excited and so glad to have you. So thank you so much for joining us. So I just want to let people know, first of all, we're not expecting this to go beyond an hour.
No.
We're definitely thinking that we're going to cap it at an hour, so that for anybody watching on replay, that's the sort of time limit that we're putting on. So welcome to everybody who's joining. Do pop your questions for Sarah into the comments. I'm going to try and follow them up on the laptop if I can see them, all being well. And there's going to be an amazing, juicy, incredible domain energy practice as well today, isn't there?
Yay. Hi, Nikki.
Hey, yeah, so hi Hayley, hi Bonita.
Hi.
Okay, so welcome. So for those of you, for those who don't know you, can you just tell us who you are and what you do?
Yes, so my name is Sarah Morgan and I specialise in teaching domain energetics, which are fairly newly introduced at this time on Earth. And so I help to teach them, spread awareness around them, and most of all, get people working with them. So I'll tell you all about them.
We are very excited to hear. So can you, I'm just checking that I can see, right, yeah. So Nikki's saying that she feels very excited to learn more about domains. So comments are actually coming up on here, which is even easier. So don't need to flash with the laptop. So can you tell us more then? Everybody is eagerly waiting to hear about domain. Can you tell us more about domain?
Yes, so the first thing I just want to say is, having done a couple of these interviews now, often when people hear the word domain, they think technology, which will either excite them or give them the ick, but either way, it will kind of send them off on a bit of a tangent. So actually, come with a very clear mind and totally open-minded. Domain is this incredible energy holding that's located beyond our multiverses. And because as a human race, we've been expanding and we've been evolving, obviously over many years, we're now at this point where we can use our energy to connect to domain, even though it's located beyond our multiverses, and use it. And there are endless things that it can do. Sam is one of our treasured domain leaders. He spent a year with me kind of delving and exploring. But even beyond that, since October, when that's the program finished, there has been so much more that I'm learning and understanding. And for us HSPs, for us that love getting so many goosebumps, for us that love to travel and explore, gosh, domain can offer so much. So just think of domain like an energy holding that is, it will give you more insight, information, knowledge, possibilities, answers than any encyclopedia can give you, than Google or ChatGPT can give you. It's always here to share new, and it's not just for a select few gurus to access. This is for everybody. And so this is why Sam and I and other domain leaders and others that have worked with domains so far love to talk about it, because I want to teach you how you can use domain as well. So does that answer that question?
Yeah, that answers that question amazingly. And obviously, having been working with domain myself over the past sort of, I guess it's 18 months now, having sort of gone into found my specialism, it's just like, wow, the possibilities really are endless, aren't they?
Endless.
Yeah, and I guess I hope you didn't mind, but I'm just going to pull in a question that we hadn't necessarily planned, just because some people might be sitting there now just thinking like, what multiverses?
Yes.
And what? This is the first I've heard of this. So can you just would you mind just touching on that a little bit as well? Because it's so exciting. I'm flooding with shivers
Yeah.
here. It's just so
Like
exciting.
Literally, I'm buzzing with energy as well. So, okay, so this is the kind of wonderful, eye-opening insight and perspectives and stance that domain can bring into everyone's day-to-day. So we are obviously on planet Earth within our Earth universe, but we are part of a multiverse, and within that multiverse, our multiverse, there's many, many other universes. Plus, there are also more multiverses, and so so many goosebumps, so much energy. Even this morning, when I've been out recording, because I'm currently starting to record a multiverse discovered docu-series, I'm receiving things that I've never received before, and this is what will open up for everybody if they want it, if they start to work with domain. So it's kind of quite big if you're not used to hearing the words multiverse. But I guess because we've been exploring it for a while, and I've known about domain for about 3 years now, I'm more, I guess, acclimatized to it. But it's beautiful. So yes, we're part of a multiverse, and there is more than one multiverse.
Yeah, and it's just amazing how much, I guess, how much new that we are starting to understand now as physical humans, isn't it really?
Yes.
So yeah, it's just phenomenal, really. I was going to say something else then as well, but that's gone out of my head. So I'll come
Back
back,
if it's meant to.
back to me. Oh, that's what I was going to say actually, though. So it's fair to say really though that domain is sort of like everybody will get something, perhaps people might get the same things, but also people will start to get different things because it's based on individuals as well in terms of what they receive.
Yeah, and domain will always work in such a loving way. It will never bombard. So of course it's going to bring us things that will help really
Yeah.
expand our minds and our horizons. But it will always flow in terms of what you're naturally passionate about and
Yeah.
curious about. And you don't even have to always consciously say, I want to learn about this. You can just be sitting like I was this morning with domain connected to it and just start to receive these flows. So I'm getting flows around suns in different parts of the multiverse, one of which I've been given the words green hydrogen. So, and this is the other thing, this is how useful it is. I'm not that scientific. So I came home and Googled, does hydrogen make up the sun? Which for most people, that's very common sense. It's like the majority of the sun. I was like, oh, I did not get that. So like it will just flow you what you want even without you having to consciously choose, and there's just so many different things that it can do, but the kind of core of it is it works with energy sequencing, which underpins everything around us. So you don't have to get complex, don't think scientific formulas and stuff like that. Just think, oh, okay, if it stores energetic sequencing of all things across all that is, this is like my playground. It can flow me insight from anywhere. It can flow me solutions that might help me in my day to day or might help our Earth from another part in our multiverse, or from somewhere on our Earth that we don't yet know, or from somewhere back in history. They're kind of the three main flows of domain: Earth, multiverse, history. But the Earth bit is particularly exciting, obviously, for those that love to travel.
And coming back to that now then, so can you tell us how beautifully domain goes for traveling and why?
There are so many different things. So I would just like to start off by saying I really relate to the group that you've created here, Sam, because I used to travel loads. I love it. I definitely want to travel more in the future with domain. And also, I would definitely define myself as someone that I guess was more heightened in sensitivity. And we'll talk about all the amazing pros of that when it comes to working with energy and domain energetics
Yeah.
as well. But there's so many different things. But when you asked me this question before and I was prepping, there were kind of three things that I thought I'd share with you, although there's like endless things. One of them is the incredible, wondrous flows of insight and knowledge that you can get. So, as I said before, sort of going beyond where an encyclopedia or Google or Condé Nast Travel Magazine, beyond where any of those places can take you. So, what this means is when you're traveling, you can get these flows of insight about our Earth, about where you're traveling in, that are going to give you new knowledge. And so that's one of the things, gosh, we've understood already, and I've started to introduce some of this here in the Domain Energetics book, Our World, What Comes Next, which is available on Amazon. I've started to introduce some of Earth's secrets. Of course, there's endless more to discover. And so say you were traveling somewhere like China, for example, you know, I've received sequencing from China, like ancient China as well, and like this precious mist energy, and that sequencing can be recreated by yourself and Domain now in this moment to help you. So it could be that when you're traveling, you're not just reading facts from a travel book like Lonely Planet or Rough Guides, if they still exist. I remember I used to have Lonely Planets and Rough Guides when I was in my gap years. You're able to get beyond this. This is the thing. Domain's going to flow you insight beyond what you can read and understand, which can really deepen your connection to the areas that you're traveling and exploring. And in fact, I've got friends who are traveling around Sri Lanka at the moment, and they went to Sigiriya Rock yesterday. I think that's how you pronounce it, by the way. And I remember saying to them before they went, if you go, let me know, because I loved it there like years ago and I went. And what I understand now is it's full and potent of myriad energy, and myriad is an energy that works hand in hand with Domain. So you don't need to get too technical with it, but you know when you go there, it's a powerhouse in myriad energy. It's therefore got lots of historical legacy to it and energy sequences that you can explore as well. So it's those kind of added on wondrous insight flows that you might well get. So in the same way, this morning I was getting flows around a green hydrogen sun elsewhere in our multiverse. You might get flows around places that you're traveling, because remember, Domain has 3 kind of core flows: multiverse, earth, and history. The second way that it can really go beautifully with traveling as well is an insanely, in a beautiful way, enhanced, heightened connection to Earth, its consciousness, which is Sali. You know, we've come to understand already through Domain that Martha is the collective consciousness of our oceans. You know, some of the Domain leaders were starting to uncover collective consciousnesses behind trees, that kind of thing. You can kind of really feel a connection that just grows and grows and grows. It's more and more, and you know, that could be things like wildlife. The last sort of 2-3 days, the connection I've been having to robins in particular, one aspect of our bird life, like literally I can't cope. Like the love, the amount my heart wants to explode, because it's communicating to me, it's sharing with me. But also when you're feeling connected to Sali and Earth and all that we're a part of on this earth, you also naturally feel that hyper connection out to our multiverses and all that is. So you just feel tuned in and plugged in to all that is. And if I think back when I was traveling, you know, around New Zealand like years ago on gap years and that type of thing, you know, when I was on Sigiriya Rock or in Ayers Rock, wherever it was, if I had had Domain as well, I mean, I think I probably would have been lying down from the immensity of those connections that you can experience. So you no longer kind of look at a view and appreciate its beauty. Of course, you do still do that. But I remember looking at views thinking, wow, they're amazing. But now it'd be like if I was on San Fran Joseph Glacier in New Zealand, I would feel almost like the energy pumping through it that kind of reaches all that is as well. It's like it's such a deep connection, and as people that love to travel, that's why we love to do it. We love those highs. We love that we're seeing and exploring new. So again, Domains, you know, enhancing all of that. And then the last thing I would say in ways, the third way or a third way that it can really kind of go beautifully with travel is, you know, so many people that love to travel love to go and visit communities that might need some help. So it could be communities in Africa, communities anywhere around the world. I'm being kind of shown when I was traveling around Cuba, and there were definite areas I wanted to help, or even the Maldives and seeing the coral reefs there really struggling. And actually one of our other Domain leaders, Kerry, she's very fascinated by coral reefs also. And so what you can do is you can work with Domain to get sequencing to help those areas that you're visiting. So I've used domain in a similar way to help crop fields where I live in Sussex.
Mhm.
But imagine doing that for places where you're visiting on the ground. I definitely want to do work, as Sam knows, in Africa in the future, and actually get on the ground there and do some incredible things in terms of sequencing to, I mean, we're talking bigger things now, but like get water up from under the surface of Africa, stop malaria and that type of thing. But you don't have to go that big with it. You can just use it, you know, in your day-to-day as well. But there will be those of you that love to travel that want to have a positive influence on those areas that you're visiting. Getting so many goosebumps. And as some, you know, as a human that can leverage domain energetics, wow, energy, what, you know, the legacy and the kind of energetic imprints that you can leave in those places is phenomenal. And so that's another really beautiful thing. You're visiting these places. I didn't know I was going to receive this. It can make me emotional in a really lovely way. But Sally's saying your consciousness is saying you're visiting these places and you're almost giving back in love and thanks and gratitude by flowing sequencing back that can benefit those areas. And how beautiful, how beautiful.
Yeah, this was the this was kind of what was occurring for me as I was traveling and weaving in bits of domain, and it's just that really sort of that really strong sense of that reciprocity of being
Yes.
here on Earth, and that it's not just we're here, it was like a full interaction, like the interaction with, you know, when I was sitting in front of the ocean, the interaction with the ocean when I was, you know, in various other places. It's like that, it's just such a deeper felt sense of connection, like you say. I just want to read out Zoe's comments. So Zoe is saying, I keep getting loads of flows to whales and other sea creatures. I don't know if you want to sort of say anything on
Well,
that,
I
but
mean,
yeah, that was
Wales is something that several of us domain leaders have explored. Also, I mean, there's a lot. What I'll just share what I've received, because obviously other domain leaders might want to share what they've received. But I've received that they've got universe energy that runs through them. So along the middle of them, in my mind's eye, I can almost see like miniature kind of stars or like
really.
flashes of light. I can't very explain it so very clearly, but I mean, we received a lot around whales and their importance within the oceans, but also the planet overall and weather systems, and regulating ocean temperatures and all that kind of stuff. And for those of you that love all this kind of stuff, this is a huge area that domain can open up as well. Not everybody wants to use domain in this way. It's a way I love to use it, and a lot of people do. But it's fascinating. So when you're kind of working with domain, I also generally say there's kind of three ways it can kind of work with you. It will flow you sequencing to help you. So it might be that domain shares sequencing and being told to say it because we're opening our perspectives here. Whale life on other planets and other universes to help our whales on Earth, or vice versa. Or it might be that the whales want to share sequencing with us. Like it's the awesome thing with sequencing is it's not kind of manifesting. What it is you're taking energy sequencing from something that already exists, whether it's past or present, whether it's local or multiversal, and you're recreating it in the now. So you're creating new possibilities with it and new creations with it. And so whales are a fascinating topic that I've only really dipped my toe into. And this is the other lovely thing. Love is not a strong enough word about domain. It's like we've got a whole lives to use it. So whereas I personally have only just dipped my toes in with whales, there could be so much more that comes through in a moment, like I was receiving around multiversal suns earlier. There could be so much more that just pops through in a moment when I'm really in the flow, which is about whales. So it will just feed things through at the right time, and it's beautiful. It never gets dull.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's it. That's it. Wherever we are, something related will likely come through. And I'm just conscious as well that if I know that a few of the other domain leaders are in this group, so I'm just going to sort of give an invitation so that people can
Yes.
see
Yes.
examples. If any of you do want to pop underneath this video, like your areas of specialty and interest, then please do. That's like super welcome. And I was also just going to say before we move on to the next question, you will be popping the link and everything to you and your groups below, to the
Yes.
book. Yeah, so
The
people will know where
book,
to read the book. Okay,
and my website and my social media platforms. Yeah. And I'm
okay.
sorry, Belle's barking. She likes to participate sometimes
I'm
in
getting excited for domain. So we've got Nikki's just saying I have a whale tuning fork, beautiful energy to work with.
Oh,
Rita's here, and
Peter, another one of the main leaders.
wow, yeah, amazing. So on the like, you've kind of already started touching into this, but obviously this group is for highly sensitive travelers, and a big part of the reason why I've set this group up is because this is something that I felt I needed as I was traveling, as I was spent most of last year traveling. But what I also discovered when sort of starting to understand more about being a highly sensitive person is there's so much information out there that's actually quite disempowering and doesn't really give a true reflection of how freaking incredible it is to be a highly sensitive, a highly sensitive person, especially a highly sensitive woman. And yeah, so this community is really all about the wonder of being a HSP, which also, interestingly, I didn't make this link, but it links to my domain specialty. So can you share with us, so people can really start to understand, that there's so much amazingness to being an HSP. Can you share a little bit with us about your experience of being an HSP and your perspectives on highly
Yeah,
sensitive?
because I love your reason for creating this group, and it again that almost made me want to cry, because it's gonna make me want to cry. So sometimes I do get a bit emotional because it's like these
We are both
immense
like
flows of
that.
love that are being felt, and it's true energy that's being felt. There is so much misconception out there that is of a not super positive nature. Whew, emotion, I'm not actually sure what that is, what energy that is. There's a lot of emotion. But the thing is, if I wasn't the highly sensitive person I am, okay, if I didn't feel those things, and we all receive in different ways, I'm quite a feeler. Um, if I hadn't have been, I wouldn't be doing this now. It's like, because I'm highly sensitive and tuned, and we're going to say highly sensitive in a positive way is what I'm sort of being asked to say, not highly sensitive in a negative way. This is about you being highly tuned and sensory around what's around you, even though you may not have always known what that was. So it's because, and I'm just speaking for myself, and others will, I'm sure, be able to relate, because I was highly sensitive to my surroundings, like even when traveling, each thing kind of feeling different and kind of sometimes feeling a bit out of sorts, and just taking a moment. But then equally, you get the highs. And so what I was saying to you, Sam, earlier when we were kind of chatting a little bit, was like, actually taking highly sensitive and putting it to something that's so incredible. And because we have that kind of hypersensitivity is in connection and attunement in a positive way, not a negative way, because we have that, we're like primed to start working with something like domain energetics and to absorb those highs that it can bring us, that people that are less tuned and connected and less highly sensitive and kind of connected in that way, they're not going to necessarily experience it in that way. So you can take highly sensitive and kind of put it forward to this incredible way to live and experience. And what I find with domain is, and I recorded a short reel on social today, actually saying I was going to be doing this interview, but like just in a moment, I can feel all of those floods of high sequencing, vibration, wonder, love, etc., in a moment, through working with domain, but because I'm so tuned in that way. And I would much rather have that than have like a numbed down energy, actually. But it's like learning to kind of point your energy in the direction of, this can do amazing things, rather than, oh, it's negative. It's like, no, put your highly sensitive kind of hat in the right direction, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And this is so much about what is hopefully going to be coming through this group. It's like, how can we start to see high sensitivity as a superpower rather than what it seems to be out there? It's like, it's this a phenomenal superpower that we've got that just means we can be so connected to things, feel things so strongly, and just have this incredible experience whilst we're here,
Yeah.
whilst we're having our time on this planet. So that brings us really nicely on to the next question then. So how can domain specifically support highly sensitive people?
Well, First thing, the amplification when you're having a really positive experience. So it's never going to amplify something that's feeling a bit stretchy. It will expand and enhance something that's really positive. So this morning, walking across the fields, looking at the sun, kind of quite misty behind the clouds, but just a moment of like, wow, like stop in your tracks, wonder, take that in like you would when you're traveling. When you travel, you stop, you look at things, and you're enraptured by them. So domain can really support us in that way, and when we're kind of having that connection, we feel at peace, we feel in mega alignment, we feel in flow, we feel tuned in, tapped in, turned on, all of that stuff. And we feel very present in that moment. So it can be really calming, really soothing, but it's got a lot of power behind it, a lot of energetics behind it. So it's not like, let me think of an example. It's not like trying to prime your mindset to feel good. It's like when you truly allow that sequencing from domain to flow in those moments. These are called domain take-ons, which I talk about in the book as well. When you really allow those in the moment, they really elevate your day-to-day in a way that most people aren't experiencing at the moment. So that's the first thing. And then what else did I want to say as well? Yeah, so as someone that used to travel, I would get those highs frequently, but now you can get them in your day to day as well as traveling. So you can experience that day to day. You don't have to wait until those times that you are traveling. So that's the first thing. And another thing is, again, those kind of moments of wonder that you can experience so much more as a highly sensitive person than a normal traveler might be able to. So I remember being in Ayers Rock looking up at the stars like years ago, and they literally illuminate the sky. For anyone that's been to Ayers Rock, there's no light pollution. It's like, holy mother frickin' gee, it's so beautiful. And so in those moments, again, it's gonna just heighten your experience of that, but we come back around to being connected again. You kind of feel your important place amongst it all. I know it sounds a bit cliche, like nothing's by chance, we're part of a multiverse, there's so much out there, but we all have a purpose. But actually, in those moments, you feel very solid in your place amongst all that is. And you have that connection and those flows of love back from that as well. So for highly sensitive travelers in particular, it's just all of those things, plus all the other things that we've spoken about. Actually, I think I didn't mention earlier the 3 ways domain can work. I think we kind of got slightly swayed. 3 ways that domain can flow stuff to you is through sequencing. That's where I got to. But it can also flow you insight flows, as we've shared. But it can also act a little bit like a non-physical guide. So you can get steering and guidance from it as well. And so does that answer the question? Can you just reread the question again, just to make sure I've answered it?
How can domain support highly sensitive people? Yeah.
So
And whilst traveling, and then we were also going to come on to how can it also help them whilst they're not traveling. And just before we go on to that, though, I do just want to say, so when we're talking about traveling in this group, it doesn't necessarily mean we've got to go to other countries. Actually, there's so much linked to domain as well, actually, that we can experience and explore just within the UK alone. So it's like, you know, what you're saying here, like, you know, using it in our day to day, which you're going to tell us about just in a second. It's like we don't have to be going off on a plane. We can be using it right here, right now, where we are as well as we travel around the UK. So, yeah, does it help when we're not? So when we're not necessarily not traveling abroad, but so how can it help us in our day to day then?
So the example I just shared earlier, when I was just walking the dog, and that kind of, whoa, just need to let all that love flow through. I mean, it's like the most fulfilling feeling. I mean, it's just so magical. So it can be used very much in day-to-day stuff. But the other thing I also made a note of as well is myriad, which we've already briefly introduced, that works hand in hand with domain. Myriad is an energy that kind of, again, underpins and connects all there is. And what your energy can learn to do with myriad, and this is so beautiful as well, is energetically transverse it. So this isn't astral traveling or anything like that, but you will stay physically here, but your energy could be taken to somewhere, and it could be somewhere in history, it could be somewhere on Earth, it could be somewhere in the multiverse. But I thought what was quite cool from the traveling perspective as well is it could take you somewhere. Like, I've been shown fascinating insight about Uganda in Africa as an example, as one place. And it almost like opens up new understanding about countries and places that you may then actually want to go and explore and almost use domain energetics in. So it could even kind of help you, you know, have new inspiration of where you might want to travel. This is what I'm being told, because Uganda wasn't somewhere that was on my radar. I love Africa, but if it hadn't been for Domain flowing me insight around Africa and how its rainforests are potent in myriad energy, and actually that's where the cure for malaria lies, all this kind of stuff, I wouldn't necessarily have had that conscious awareness that I want to go there. But the other thing is, you can kind of get those hits that you might get like energetically when you're traveling physically. You might still kind of get those kind of highs just from kind of staying where you are physically, but energetically transversing myriad and exploring and uncovering Earth's secrets in that way as well. So
yeah, absolutely. And I can absolutely vouch for that. Just sitting and just, you know, sort of asking Domain, you know, what can we flow with, and just having that experience. It's like, oh, it's just, yeah, incredible, really.
yeah.
And yeah, it's a
I
real
mean,
sometimes.
it's just endless. And so I think that's why, well, I know that's why I try and kind of break it down and kind of introduce it in snippets, because when you start your own journey with Domain, you can literally spend a lifetime in energetic partnership with it, and it will just keep feeding you so much new experiences, new sequences, new wonder, new love, new possibilities, like new opportunities. It's like this never ending modality of just immenseness. I can't even find the right words. I often find this, I speak about Domain, I can't actually articulate in strong enough words
Yeah,
how much is going to open up our world's horizons and perspectives and that type of thing.
yeah, amazing. Okay, so I think that's been probably a lot for people to, you know, sort of go, oh my God, this is just amazing. So I think it might be nice. Shall we? Are you happy to give people a little bit of a taster through an energy practice? Okay.
Let's do a little bit of taster.
Yeah, I'm going to hand it over to you then now.
Yeah, that's fine. And then after this, if you're wanting to explore more, I'll kind of help point you in the direction of where to start, because I am a little bit aware that sometimes this can sound a little bit like, whoa, big, but you can literally tiptoe and step through it day to day in such an easy way. And so one way to kind of start your interactions with Domain, for those of you that haven't interacted with Domain before, we're just going to do an energy practice, and this is going to be really easy, really simple. And so if you want to, you can close your eyes or you can keep them open, whichever feels best to you. I usually close my eyes because it just, I don't know, it helps me feel even more. As a highly sensitive person, I love to just kind of close my eyes and note what's kind of going on in my body. And so you can, when you're ready, just set the intention to connect your energy to Domain, and you can do that out loud or in your head, but you're just setting the intention. So you could just say in your head, right, I'm going to connect to Domain now. And some of you might feel like your energy is going to it, and obviously it's located beyond our multiverses, but your energy can go to it and connect to it like that. You don't have to understand how or why at this point in time, but it just can. Some of you might feel Domain coming around you, because there are aspects of Domain also on Earth, again, without wanting to get complicated, but you've kind of got that two-way support. And so the first thing to do is just allow yourself to note what you're experiencing here as you're having this connection with Domain, because some of you are going to feel, and it could be very subtle feelings. It doesn't have to be big and bombarding. It could be very subtle. Some of you might sense something or see something in your mind's eye or your mind's ear, or you might just get a knowing. Everybody receives differently, and that's perfect. So just trust what you're noting from Domain. For me, when I connect in, just if it helps, just going on the basis of how I feel, it feels a bit like sort of coming home. It feels like a big, loving energy. It feels very safe as well. There's no energetic drain with this. You're just connecting to Domain.
Mm-hmm.
And then spend some time here. Don't rush through it. That's something I always used to do, try and rush through practices. You want to enjoy this. You're doing something miraculous here. For those of you, even though those of you that have done it before, but especially for those of you that haven't, you're connecting to an energy holding beyond our multiverses that will become well known over time. But you are the early ones, if you like, being introduced to it at such an early stage. And therefore, just enjoy that. Even if you're like, I'm not quite sure what I'm feeling or seeing or hearing or knowing, that's okay. You're just exploring. You can re-listen to this over and over again. Plus, I have a free practice on my website that I'll tell you about as well. So you can do this again and again. And actually, when I first started connecting to domain, the more I connected, the more I sort of got and understood or saw. So it can definitely build the more you do it. So in this connection, domain is going to work with myriad. And remember, myriad is the energy holding, sorry, myriad is the energy that sort of connects all things. So myriad and domain work together to bring you to some sequencing, and we're going to stay quite high level here. We're not going to get complex or anything like that, but you might get a sense of your energy moving, and it will feel good, it won't feel bad, it will feel lovely and right for you. You might get a sense of your energy transversing myriad, i.e. moving, as myriad is working to take you to the place that sequencing is going to be taken from, and domain will help, but you'll kind of might get a sense of that movement, and it can take you to one of these three places, somewhere multiversally, somewhere on Earth, even to Earth's core, like places you might not be able to physically reach, or it might take you back in history. So I've been taken to places like Egypt and India and lots of places before. So you're going to kind of be taken to something that fits under one of those three categories, and it will only take you to where you feel comfortable. If you're not comfortable going multiversal, that's fine. Domain and myriad aren't going to flow you to somewhere that doesn't feel really good to you, but of course your physical feet are staying on the floor. And you'll kind of feel yourself almost like arrive energetically, and everyone again receives domain a bit differently, but you're going to start to get a sense of where you are. It will start to piece together a little bit, even if you sort of get flashes of color, or you might get a sense of gravel or something if it's perhaps a moon elsewhere, that type of thing. You might get a sense that you're going really micro rather than macro multiversal. You might get a sense, I've had this in the past, where I'm sort of going into like a plant stamen. I go so micro with it. So you might go somewhere really micro. So trust where you feel or think you're sort of being taken and where you're at now, and just trust what you're experiencing. And remember, 99.9% of the time it's somewhere beyond where we already consciously know of. So it's going to be somewhere that you're like, whoa, I haven't been here before. And then you'll get a sense of your energy now starting to gather the sequencing from this place. That happens automatically. Even if you can't really feel or sense this yet, know that it will be happening. And that sequencing is naturally being gathered through domain as well. And it's being recreated now for you in this moment, in your physical experience, rather, to bring you, it could be anything that you need. It could just be flows of peace. It could be nutrients that might be available on a different planet that aren't available on our Earth that could really benefit your body. It could be something from history, where civilizations, for as one example, were much more equal in their affluence. So it could be something that's around money sequencing for you. It could be something that's going to give you an energy boost, and some of you might not actually really want to know what it's doing, and that's fine as well. You are all able to receive that. You'll get like a knowing or an understanding, but likewise you don't have to. If it feels a bit like, oh, that's a bit too much today, that's fine. You can come back and redo this practice whenever you want. And this is like your first experience of domain working in tandem with myriad and flowing sequencing to you to benefit you in the now. But there is so much more that the sequencing can do, and there are endless sources of sequencing, given that domains store sequencing across all that is. So many kind of endless places it could draw sequencing from that you'll get an understanding of when you're working with it that will wow you each time. And what else did I want to say? Bear with me. So you're receiving the sequencing, could be from any place, it will wow you. And yeah, in the future, again, the more kind of practice you get with domain in your energy, the more you can just have flows come in without you even having to consciously tune in like this. You might experience a domain take on or insight flows, you know, but this is like your starting point. And trust whatever you've seen and experience. And if you want to share below, whether you're watching live or on replay, and even on replay, I can come back and comment and kind of help you with anything as well. But trust, because I remember the first time, and you can kind of let go of the connection out if you want to, or you can stay in it if you want to. I remember the first few times I connected to domain, it took a bit of practice as well, but actually it should be a lot easier for everybody now, because myself and the domain leaders have done so much energizing with domain. So actually just expect it to be easy, trust what you're getting, even if it feels like no, that can't be the case. It's like, but if you kept being shown it from domain when we just did that connection, and myriad as well, if you kept being shown it and it keeps feeling right, that is going to be correct, even if it's things, you know, when I received this morning green hydrogen in a sun on an in, you know, in another universe, I was like, what? But if you keep being shown it and it keeps being true, you know, domain is gonna like blow your mind at times, and it's beautiful because it's this vast awareness. So yeah, hopefully just seeing if there's anything else I'm kind of sharing here. Sorry, anything else I'm being asked to share here. So yeah, so domain's just saying you kind of let go that connection. You've had your first kind of dipping your toe in. But you know, even with travel, something that I've written down, which domains reminded me to say, is imagine if like you're going somewhere and you get bumps or scratches or mosquito bites. You can connect to domain and ask for sequencing to help to soothe the mosquito bites or to heal a bump or a graze or that kind of thing. I talk about in the book how one of my very first experiences was using domain to get rid of bruising. So you can use it in that way, and you can use it for greater healing things as well. So, but even the practicality of that, if you're in the middle of a rainforest, I remember being in the middle of a rainforest in Singapore, I think it was, or Malaysia, I think it might be Malaysia, and I fell down a bit of a cliff. So I kind of had scratches and grazing, but we're kind of in the middle of the nowhere. It wasn't that easy to kind of go get plasters and cream and first aid kits and stuff. So if you can use domain sequencing in those moments as well, and you know, when I was doing the sequencing around the bruising, I was showing sequencing from a moss type vegetation on another planet again, so I didn't have to run out to the shop and get any arnica gel. I could just get the sequencing, gather it, recreate it on my shin where the bruise was, and then the bruise disappeared. So you can use it in that way as well. So endless things, endless possibilities. It's a journey, a lifetime journey of discovery.
Few things on that. So it's just reminded me of, as we were all, you know, receiving together as domain leaders when we were doing the program with you. It was, you know, when we were all just sort of writing like, I'm getting this, and it's like, and then other people are like, yeah, I've had that too. It's like, oh right, okay, because there's just some really bizarre stuff that was coming up, and it's just like, what? Like, and sometimes it was, for me, like, it was so sensory sometimes. Like I'd literally feel like I was in this, you know, I remember on one instance, it felt like I was in this really wet, sticky place. And I was like, oh, what's this? And just to throw in another example, so I've actually just been having, so I've got a bit of something going on with one of my glands. And as we've just been doing the practice, I can feel domain just trying to come in and just say like, I can help with this. Like, you know, here's some sequencing. So these are the kind of things. So yeah, it's definitely got, it's kind of got the out there aspect, hasn't it? But it's also got the practical, you know, what do we actually need it for personally as well? So it's just so vast, so
Yeah,
vast.
so vast,
So
endless.
because Nikki's just done the practice. So she said that she was taken to a lagoon where the colours were so bright and clear with pink, blue galactic dolphins. So it's like, as I'm reading this, I'm already like, I know what this is. And we're flying out of the water and then taken to a huge multicoloured tree with so many flows of energy with dolphins swimming. and flowing around. So yeah, I can relate to that. Sarah, do you want to say anything on that?
Yeah, so that is connected to a particular planet that I will be talking more about on my social media when the time's right. But that is correct. And also the bright colours. I mean, some of the coral reef, because I received with the domain leaders when we were doing stuff around the coral reefs a few weeks ago, like such bright coloured coral reefs on a different planet in a different universe. I didn't even know coral reefs existed elsewhere. So even, you know, still new all the time. So there can be stuff that's really colourful. I was seeing this morning when I was getting the flows, suns connected to different planets with like hues of pink running through them, and green, hence the green hydrogen thing. So yeah, so again, really magical. There's so much out there to uncover. There really, really is. And the thing is, the more you work with domain, the more you trust what you're getting as well. It's got a real kind of tangibility to it, in a way that I haven't really experienced with other energetic modalities personally. Like, you get something that's so specific and you keep being shown it can't not be true. So you just start to trust over time, and you know, and it is important with domain, you just trust and believe and just keep going with it, because more and more will continue to open up.
I think for, you know, and I don't know if you agree with this, but for me, this is why it goes so well with the high sensitivity, because it's just literally like this immersive experience. Like, it's so tangible and so sensory. It's just amplified. Like, it's just incredible.
It is. It really, really is mind blowing.
Okay. So thank you for sharing that with us. So we just have a final question, of course, because this is a travel and adventure group. So can you tell us your most magnificent and memorable travel experience?
I mean, there's been so many, and I know I said I'd pick one, but
Maybe dropped
one
in like
that's
10.
the one I would say the best experience of my life is swimming with wild dolphins in Kaikoura in New Zealand. And if I had known about domain energetics, because this was years ago, I was like early 20s, late teens, early 20s. If I had known about domain then, and like the insight flows I could have got around the dolphins, all of that, you know, like even with domain, like I had a robin communicating with me over the last 3 days, and that's led me to insight about multiversal bird life, so multiversal cockatoos, if you can believe it. Obviously you can believe it. So you can kind of get that direct connection with nature. So to be able to use domain with dolphins, like heaven. But again, I've got my whole life ahead of me, so that's an option for the future. But I would say another key place, which I've already mentioned, is Sigiriya Rock in Sri Lanka. It's so rich and potent in myriad energy. It is wondrous and fascinating. Those that would have created it's basically castle ruins on top of this massive rock in Sigiriya, and it's stunning. Like, living there would have been amazing. In fact, we've been shown there might even have been some previous physical incarnation connection through my higher self. Actually, some of you might experience this as you are connecting to things with domain as well. But it was just stunning, rich in myriad energy. Definitely a place we can take sequencing from. The thing is with domain, always stay very open, let domain show you where it wants to bring you the sequencing from. So I haven't been taken to Sigiriya for sequencing yet, but as and when the time's right in the future, if it's relevant, I will be. But that was breathtaking for anyone that's been there. I mean, I just can't even express how stunning that place was. And gosh, I have so many aspirations still to travel with my children in the future. I want to do domain summits in amazing places around the world. Like, travel's still a very big thing, because, you know, as travelers and as people that love to work with domain, we love to explore. That's one of the things we love about it. We kind of have our eyes opened each time we kind of connect to it. So much more to come. So it's very hard for me to answer that succinctly, as you can tell, but I would say Sigiriya Rock if I had to pick one.
Yes, okay, amazing. So thank you for sharing them with us. And yeah, and I think hopefully, so, you know, I mean, hopefully as you're going to be doing more with Domain in the future, then there's going to be things that, you know, I can sort of flow to this community, and maybe that people, maybe just maybe with what's coming up, people might come and be able to come and join things. Who
Yeah,
knows?
of course, of course, of course.
And I'm sure that some of the other domain leaders as well will be doing their own sort of like
Yeah.
different things. So it's just amazing. So thank you so much. Going to start bringing it to a close now. Thank you so much for coming on to share this with us. And I just know people are going to see how well this goes, because, you know, this community as well is about people and planet.
Yeah.
And domain just really, you know, because which, you know, our consciousness is changing. We want to start, you know, being working with our planet, helping our planet, and just having different experiences. So domain goes perfectly with that. So if people want to know more, and you know, where do people find you? How can people find your book? So can you just sort of share that with us, just to bring it to close?
So my main website is sarahmorganglobal.com. Everything you need is on there, like the link to the book, which you can get on Amazon worldwide. This is a perfect place to start. It just introduces so many, well, a lovely selection and variety of touch points with Domain. It's very much written as an introduction. It's not heavy and complex. You'll see the font's quite nice and spacious. It's not a heavy read, it's light. So that's a really good place to start. Obviously on my website you'll find my social media channels, because I'm on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube and Instagram. And the other thing that might be helpful is if you sign up to my newsletter, you can get a free Domain first connection practice, and once you've got that you can keep using that over and over. I mean, there is, I know I always say it, but there is so much to come. You know, Domain is taking me in directions I would have only have dreamt of at the moment, like doing a Multiverse Discovered docu-series, like sitting in the middle of the South Downs receiving flows about like multiversal cockatoos and green suns, all that kind of stuff. It's like there's so much to come, but I want to share it. I want everybody to know that, you know, if they work with me or like they get this book, they can start to train their energy to work with Domain. I think, as one last thing, I would just say, having kind of seen gurus in motion years ago, like someone like Esther receiving Abraham Hicks, and thinking, how does she do that? And she would always say, everyone can do this, everyone can do this. I'm like, yeah, but how? How do you do it? How do you do it? I want to kind of cut that out for everybody and just be like, right, this is how you do it, or come and work with me, this is how you do it. And then once you know how to do it, you don't need me, you can just keep exploring in your own way. And my aspirations are a planet full of people that are uncovering incredible new things about our Earth, history and multiverse, day in and day out, and lifting the limit and potential and opportunities, even connecting with other humans on other planets in other universes. That is where this is going as well, and I will be talking about that in my Multiverse Discovered docu-series. So that won't be out for a little while, but obviously you can follow me on my social media platforms as well. So there is so much to come. So if this kind of stuff lights you up, just stay close by, because it's just so lovely and amazing and exhilarating to explore all of this together.
It's just yeah, it's just like you can just be, I just felt so much energy as we've been talking, just like, oh, flooding with shivers. And yeah, it's just the vastness of it. And I think also, I think you kind of probably touched on it, but just like the impact that this can have for people and planet, and just the sheer amount of love and positive impact that more people connecting with Domain, more people understanding Domain, more people using Domain, the positive, God, this could make me cry, the positive impact that could have on, you know, for not only for our planet but beyond, you know, for all kinds of life, is just out of this world. It's like,
literally, it's like my head and goosebumps and energy. It's just, and these are the kind of highs you can experience on a daily basis with Domain. And that's, I think, also, Sam, why I love the fact you're building a community. And I'm also wanting to build communities as well, hence social media platforms. And for anyone that works with Domain, I've got my Facebook group, Pathway to Thrive, that I do need to kind of talk about a little bit more at some point. But it's like that community, because when you're interacting with others that are experiencing these highs and getting this knowledge and insight, you kind of bounce off each other as well. And so community is very much a key part of this, hence Pathway to Thrive, hence domain summits. You know, it really is about coming together and just all sharing and enjoying together. So yeah, I can't stop talking. I do actually zip it, don't I?
We are going to have to now. We're going to have to start bringing it to close because we have pretty much run up to the hour point actually. So,
it's flown by.
yeah, it's gone really quick. So thank you so much for coming to speak to us. Hopefully everybody's enjoyed that. I'm just going to say, so just the last couple of comments. So we got taken to the Maldives, which is on her plan for November this year. Could see all the beautiful fishes brightening in colour through domain and heard it will oxygenate the water. Yeah, so yeah, absolutely. So Nikki and Zoe just having a bit of a communication. Alvi was saying she's going to join. So there's a few people that have commented. So I'll let, if Sarah wants to sort of go through them as well. If anyone's got any questions, we haven't actually done questions, but I don't think, I'm thinking we better bring it to a close and just say, if people want to ask questions, can they ask questions underneath this thread?
Ask questions underneath here. There is going to be a book club that's going to be starting to be a regular thing in Pathway to Thrive. So anyone that's got the book can come into the group and we can do weekly Q&As there. But post here as well for the moment. If you want to be kept abreast of all kind of developments and discoveries and updates, obviously my newsletter is probably the best place to go. But any immediate questions, whether you're watching live or on replay, do post under here and I'll answer them for you over the coming days. It will be a pleasure. So thank you for everyone that's been watching and interacting as well. It's a real honor for me to be able to talk to you and interact with you about it. So, and thank you, Sam, of course.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody that's joined us. Post your questions underneath and yeah, enjoy the replay for those watching on replay. Okay, lots of love.
Take care, everybody. Bye.